Welcome to the Blackhouse on 106.1 FM. You're in the station with Leah, and we've got Davian here today, and Vishal. This is your first time coming in. How are you?
I'm great, so excited to be on air.
Are you really? Well, you're live, baby. And of course, we've got one of our returnees, one of the people that held this place down for us while I was really sick. Nanny Maha, how are you, my dear?
That's right, ring champion return. Hello,
Yeah.
back in the ring. Bing, bing.
Today, we thought we would do a little bit of just honouring and celebrating our friend Octavius Jones. He used to come in here and donate his time and his energy and his love to some really good programs that we did here. I always enjoyed him coming through. We had a lot in common.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise we had so much in common. Like, we're both eldest siblings. We're both Taurians, right? I didn't even realise.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do say happy birthday to everybody on Facebook when they pop up on my feed, but I'm not really. I'm just going, happy birthday, happy birthday.
We are.
You know, I like people to feel like somebody's thinking about them on their birthday.
Yeah.
And we both love the sea. And I mean, he was doing marine biology, or is that right? Marine biology. And I've been a boogie boarder, a surfer back in my earlier days. I've always been around the sea and I love it. You know, like, it's my calm. It's my, I don't know, when I'm out there I just feel like I can just let stuff go. And I think he had that same sort of sense about the sea. And, you see, if you're wondering about the music that I chose for him, well, he loves roller skating. And I'm a roller skating jam called Saturday, so...
Come on.
I'm a total roller skating nut. Me and my son used to make mixtapes for the roller skating rink in Kilburnie when we lived here. And when we left, we gave them a whole collection of funk and soul. And so when I realised that, you know, when we used to be able to burn all that music, and when I realised that he was a roller skating person, I'm like, oh, I know the music that he likes. I already know. But anyway, enough of me. Davian, I was wondering, you know, like, what would you like to share?
Yeah, so it's interesting with Octavius. I met him online first. Thank you. I met him online first, and I knew him for about a couple of years, but I never got the chance to meet him until last year when I was here on vacation. And someone at the Remembrance said something that really stuck with me. It's about some people had this relationship with him where it may not have been a long time, but it was intense. Like, he had that good energy, you know?
Yeah.
It was like a light. And in meeting him, I obviously felt seen, you know, another black queer person.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, another queer person of color. So many things that I could relate with him. And then he was just amazing. Like, I found out that we were born at the same hospital.
Oh, wow.
In
damn.
LA. Yeah, you know, it's, this town called Linwood in LA. And I was like, that's crazy. So losing him got me in a weird space.
Yeah, right?
You know?
Like I just agree completely. I had a dream about him immediately afterwards, just immediately, and we're just sitting there vibing, like not even doing anything, just enjoying each other's like company. Yeah. And it's exactly that. I met him on a stage production called The Eternal Queers, and he was our stage manager. Yeah. And his energy was just so immaculate, right? I know. Whatever cleansing he does for his spirit was working, right? Because I just honestly, I was in a fractured place, and I went into a worse place, but just everything about him helped retether me back to center. And so I'm sorry, I just mean to agree with you in full, because I had the exact same experience of not knowing him for that deeply for that long. But I was reflecting on exactly that. I was like, why didn't you though? Because you immediately could tell that this person would welcome you. Yes. You know, absolutely. Like why didn't you make it a closer? Why didn't you make this your BFF? Like he was sitting right there.
That's why I was like, I was so looking forward to him coming back to
Yeah,
Wellington.
same.
You know, I was like, okay, cool. Like, you
Yeah.
know, I live here now, so I can talk to him. This
Right.
is great.
We were gonna get a cup of coffee before he got before the whole thing with the visa expiration, right? And he was like, oh well, I have to go back to New York, and I was like, well, baby, I'll be there.
Right,
Like it's
yeah.
New York, right? It's New York. We'll be there. I'll meet you. We're either I'll see you there, or we'll see you here. It's fine. But
it really got me thinking about lost time.
Yes.
We spent some beautiful time together and had some beautiful memories, but also the time we didn't get to share together.
Yes.
It felt like it was stolen and
Yes.
taken away.
Oh, amen.
I feel you, absolutely.
You were actually bringing up some things that I thought about, like when, you know, I haven't grieved yet. I haven't cried. I haven't felt sad.
Yeah.
I think I'm still in that space of being kind of angry that it's happened.
Yes. Oh,
be
amen.
And, you know, if I'm to be quite honest, I'm numb
Yeah.
at this point. I'm numb because, as I shared at your place, this is not the first time this kind of scenario has happened to me. This is like the third.
Yeah.
So, exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I'm numb at the system.
Yes.
I'm angry at the system
Yeah.
that created this scenario. And I think part of me thinks, would this, whatever had happened, would it have happened if he was still here?
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like we don't know what's happened, we don't know what happened to him, but we know he's gone, and what we do know is we loved him.
Yes.
I mean, for myself, I always felt like when I spoke to him, he was a person that saw the real me.
Yes.
Right? Like, I have a personality that will land on people in different ways.
Yes.
Some people will feel intimidated. Some people will feel, but I felt like I could say anything and he got me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to try
Yeah.
to put on or anything. And that's so refreshing for somebody of my age,
Yeah. Yeah.
of my generation.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot more difficult for us older ones to like cope with all these changes out here. We don't know, we forget the pronouns. You know, we don't know which ones they are, we don't know how they work, but and I think the other thing was like working with him on the Blackhouse. I knew every time he came in we would get quality programming.
Yes.
Because he was such a good orator.
Yes.
He was such a good speaker.
Yes.
He was so good at embracing the group that would be in here and pulling them into where he just glowed.
Yeah.
Like it was like an energy that was
Pulling them into a space of love.
that's
I think two things, like number one, my daughter went to her first ever roller rink and she came back glowing, so you brought that up and I was like, oh no, you're right. Black culture, roller coaster, rollerblade, the roller skating, we are about this. But the second thing was I had the exact same experience of you, of not even numbness, just this is not my first like surprise death of a very young person this year, in exactly the same vein as you. You know, like at the beginning of the year, my friend Tom Monet, bless him, he took his life, and so last time I saw him, we were having a beer in my front yard, and now he's gone. And that's how we started the year. And then I lost my friend Lorenzo in the middle of June, but I didn't know till I got back here because I was in the States.
Was he a suicide or
again,
car accident?
like with Octavius, we don't quite know because this is somebody who for the last maybe 10 years I've been doing like community service sketching for the kids at the Very Welly Christmas Parade, and to lose him in that way. I would love to honor all of the people who we've just suddenly lost in this space, And if anything, like with Octavius, if Octavius was here and I was telling him these stories, he would be like, oh, okay, well, then it's really about coming to figure out what we can do more for the people in our community, who we love, who we depend on, who depend on us. And like, then after that, I lost my half-sister's mother, who I grew up with. Like, we called, this was auntie. This was not my half-sister's mother. This was auntie who raised me, right? So it was just like boom, 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 boom. And Octavius was feels a bit of a final straw for me. I'm like, oh no. And I wrote a book. I saw this coming. I'm sorry, I did. My third eye was open. I was like, y'all, you don't understand. We are seeing critical, what I call compassion failures. And
yes, like this is really interesting that you brought that up, because I know our community, like basically the Africa diaspora community has been going through hella deaths in the last 18 months.
Yep.
And for a community as small as ours, we're not talking about why this is happening enough. And I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
The whole lack of compassion.
A critical lack of compassion.
Critical lack of compassion and critical lack of empathy or understanding and patience and tolerance for each other, you know what I mean?
And you see people go as they get this news, their blinders go in, and they get more focused on the hustle.
Yes.
Like, is the thing that I saw. It's like, instead of being like, oh no, these things are happening, I need to actually pull back from all of this. I'm going to hustle harder. Is my response to that. Well, it won't be me, because I'm going to have my million by the time, it's like, and those blinders get narrower and narrower.
But I mean, also, I guess hustling harder is a way to be distracted from something that you see is happening.
Yes.
And you can't stop it from happening. It's happening and it's affecting people and people are being affected.
Yeah.
And it's a way to like, I don't want to look at that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I could say I'm a little bit guilty of that.
I think that a lot of people's physical ailments are a result of emotions they're not processing. And honestly, if I had one thing to say about Octavius, there was, at the beginning of the year, I lost Tom Monet. Everyone, like, he was somebody who you would have thought was just a waif and a stray with like maybe 3 friends. Yeah. During his funeral, there was like 200 people. Right. He had touched so many souls. Yeah. Just everybody he came across loved him, because I have, like, I would say I've never met anyone pure, except I met Octavius, who died in the same year.
Like, that is crazy, you know, like, that's...
You see what I'm saying,
that
right?
It's like, he had this angelic quality.
Yes, exactly, this angelic quality, and I'm like, I'm not ready for, look, you back off. We need some of these angels down here. I'm like, calm down.
Part of me has a theory. I'm like, there's just some people, like you mentioned earlier, when he was here, he would just bring people in together, right? He was present. He was always present. And he could see, like, I met him with my ex, and when I talked to him, he was like, I really felt seen. I felt seen. Yeah. And I feel there's some people, I guess, maybe this is just my coping mechanism, that are just too good for this world.
Well, okay, so there's, I think it's Gabor Mate, who brought up that that's a thing, that he was previously a medical doctor and an MD, and somebody who himself was like struggling with his own health, because he was constantly giving. And he says there's a type of person that is a profile you'll see who are the ones who die early, and it's always they were so nice, they gave and they never asked for anything from themselves, and they'll pass away early, because these givers, these spiritual filters, right, these soul workers, they are not supported in this environment. They are not supported in our system, and we do not value them. We do not give them money for just being good people, which means that if that's not something that's rewarded, it's something that is not being prioritized, and then ultimately it's something that's being punished.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, if you choose to be, if I choose to stay with my grandmother and look after her as a dependent, I will not necessarily be provided for in that space. That's not a given. But that work is the real work that needs to be provided for. And that's the kind of work Octavius does. And that's the kind of work I aspire to do.
It's like, it's kind of like what he's saying is that, like, they've given so much that, that their spirit is like,
No, literally their bodies. Like, they
Yeah,
won't
their bodies.
sleep. They won't,
Right.
prioritize food. Like, they will prioritize literally everyone's needs above their needs in a very, like, clean and clinical kind of notable fashion.
Right.
I won't eat. I'll put off going to the bathroom. And so, like, it's only in those, like, times of extreme, like, thin points where I have to prioritize me that I ever will. And I'll feel bad about it on top of everything.
Yeah.
It was such a shock. He
Yeah.
shouldn't have gone.
No.
I take time to process my emotions. It sometimes takes me 6 months, sometimes 2 years to let the tears out.
Yeah, yeah.
When I found out that Octavius passed away, I remember clearly I came back from Iran. My housemate Nagin told me, and I just burst out into tears. It's never happened. It just
just right away. Like,
Yeah.
the gate there was so open because the connection was so pure.
yes.
Yeah.
And if he just shouldn't have gone.
No.
Well, I wanna share some happy memories of him besides working on the Blackhouse.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
Octavius was really good with the shade.
I wanted to get to know this part of him.
Oh no!
Oh, I wanted to see the
believe.
shade.
I believe. I
Yeah.
believe.
Was it Mariah Carey shade or was it like Cardi B shade? Like, that's cute. Or was it like, no, you don't know I'm shading you.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of cute shade.
Oh,
yeah,
cute
yeah,
shade.
It was
yeah.
good.
Yeah. It was cute, but it was efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's because when you have somebody who can really see people, and
Uh-huh.
that they invite people in, they know exactly not to bring that into a
Yeah.
safe space.
Yeah.
But they have to have it. There has to be an exhaust vent
It
somewhere.
almost felt like it was kind of, when it did come out, when I did hear it came out, it almost felt like, because he's so like, that's where it comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a little, gonna get a little look. But I remember when we went to the movie The Woman King.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I was going to like it.
Yes.
And then, he was sitting next to me and they got to all the fight scenes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the movie I needed as a kid.
Yeah.
I needed this movie as a child. And we were laughing so much in that movie.
Yeah.
Sort of like, we didn't want to laugh at all the times when people were taking it seriously. I love this. And had such a good time that night. And of course, we would always, every time, we met up. And there wasn't that many times actually, because it was mainly in the Blackhouse, or it was this odd occasion.
Same.
Yeah, so.
He was too busy doing good work.
Yeah, like it was so hard to get him on the phone.
Yeah.
And when I did get him on the phone, it was always a long conversation.
Yeah.
But one thing I liked was that every time I pulled up to his house, we would sit in the car. Like when I come to your place, we would be in the car for at least 2 hours before we like it was like we save it up for that moment in front of your house. We're just gonna do this, watch the sun go down, and talk about everything.
Well, it's because he was never going to give you half a cent of his time. He was always going to give you the whole buck.
Yeah.
Like if he was not with you, it's because he was giving somebody else 100, which is something I have also aspired to do. Like I'm impossible to get. I'm sorry, you know, I'm impossible to get until you have me, but then you have all of me, and that's why.
Do you think it's time to go to another track?
Yeah.
Because I got some Sylvester up here.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, yes, I do, baby.
Come
Oh,
on
yes,
now.
I do.
Come on.
Come on.
All right.
Come
all
on,
right.
baby,
So,
come on.
we got, you got a goodie.
An oldie buddy goodie.
Sylvester with. I'm gonna stop that one there because Sylvester's track goes on for like 6 minutes.
Oh, my God. You can have a whole lifetime and that song's still playing. It's like I'm 74 now. This song gonna go on.
I bet you there are people who heard that song when it came out who occasionally still hear it and it feels like it's still going from that exact moment.
Right, they heard it in the 70s and like, oh, it hasn't ended yet. We can get to the end of that. I love it.
I was just reading something interesting on that when we went to the gathering at your place, Vishal. Chinway gave out that piece of paper and I was looking on here just now and that Octavius means 8th child and in numerology 8 is the number of abundance since 7 is the number of completion.
Yeah.
8 represents new opportunity and the abundance that comes with starting something new. But he wasn't the 8th child.
Right.
He was the oldest of 4. And I thought that was that was a really interesting sort of idea, because I think even though he wasn't the 8th child, 8 actually it really resonates with who he was.
So wholesome.
Very much so. There is a nominative determinism is a theory that what you were named at birth has a huge impact on your life, and I have seen that one-to-one. And numerologists will also tell you each number has an important spiritual meaning, like in terms of how it interacts with one another. And honestly, being named Octavius I'm not surprised he manifested the way that he did with such an abundant spirit.
And he had this sort of stressed relationship with his name as well, because he never thought it felt like the skin that he was in.
Yeah.
And that was another similarity that we had, because I also changed my name. And I've been changing my name since I was 5.
Come on.
And the first time was Aquila. I was in Nelson. I was 5-year-old, and I just had to rethink my environment and everything and me.
Yeah.
But I also never liked the name, like my legal name, Leah, the way that it's spelled.
Yeah.
Because of the story that it represents. And what you see it is like, I don't know do you know the story of Leah in the Bible?
No.
She was the older sister of the man that wanted Rachel. And so he had to stay with her for a period of time so he could get to. So she was kind of like this, the one that was like, it kind of resonates a lot with me with domestic abuse. Which is really weird, because that's also something that I've experienced a lot in my life, and I wanted to get rid, I just didn't want to have any association with that name. So I've changed the spelling, but it's not changed legally on documents, it's just changed how I like to see it, and I spell it in a more of an Arabic way, more of the Swahili way, with Liya. That's how I spell it. That's why I spell it that way, because I don't like what's associated with that name. And it's interesting because he got a name while he was in Africa.
I really do think that some old traditions will come forward, and many new things will be born in this. And I think that's all there is to it. And there's nothing either party could. We are in the illusion that we have control over this.
That's it. We think we do, but we're not.
No.
And that's, I think, why the Octavius thing really touches me a lot. Because as we mentioned, he's so bright, he's so light. I go through the Facebook and I look at what people said, and everyone says the same thing. But it's tying it into what you said. It's not being in control. You know, when I see that, of course, I see myself, as we all see ourselves in each other. It's just that. Not being in control of life, you know? It's the most beautiful thing, but also the most scariest thing, because you don't know.
I think, just to tie it back, something I've been studying, like I came to a really dark place in my life, and in that space I started writing books. And I came to, it's interesting that you're here, the concept of the Kali Yuga, like the age of apocalypse within, Hindi legend. And it answered so many questions for me in one go. The more you do research you do into that, like Indian lore, this is the waking up from the dream. Like this is the sound of the eyes opening. It's just that they make this crashing noise, you know, and then we come back to a place of heaven.
Almost like an awakening.
Yes.
I think there's a price we carry if we have a way of being which is very different from the status quo. It's a weight on our shoulders that we carry with us every day. We need to explain ourselves to people all the time.
I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. I'm tired of explaining myself.
Right.
And it's so rare that you meet people that you don't have to feel like you have to explain or you have to push through maybe their perceptions, or, you know, they've got, or you know that they're thinking a particular way and you're like, that's not what I am. This is what I am. You know, and just having to do that. All the time.
All the time.
Ooh,
like,
I want to touch back on that.
Okay, go.
I feel with the whole, like, for me, the way that I perceive that statement as well is people can have an idea of what someone is. And what I've noticed in my patterns is what I do is sometimes I will fulfill that in the past. this person thinks I'm like, the funny clown, so I'm just gonna lean into that.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That takes the power away of who you are. You are who you are. That person's perception of you is not reality.
Like somebody tells you you're dumb, so you're dumb. Somebody tells you you're a monster, so you're a monster.
Yes.
Somebody tells you you're the worst, and so now you're the worst.
Yes.
I am human. I'm allowed to break. I'm allowed to be my lesser self. I give me permission to just not be there.
Because like people who always are doing service, you get exhausted.
It kills you.
Yeah. Like I'm watching friends of my generation dropping dead in their 50s.
Exactly.
It brings mortality. Like you realize you got to cherish those people that really made an impact on you much more. Another thing that was great about talking with Octavius is that I could just tell him, oh yeah, no, I'm a little bit like that because of this and this from my past. And when you say, blunted trauma, well, I've already been to a chiropractor who said, were you in a car accident? And I said, no, I just got punched around the head by very big men. That's, I've got injuries of a boxer. That was the other thing. You either in a car accident or you were a boxer.
Exactly, or you played soccer.
With my head.
That's a very real point.
But I mean, being able to just talk about that without having the other person go into shock. And that was something that I liked about Octavius because, my lived experience has been horrific. But I've come through it. I'm still here. And I've only just started talking about it now in these years. Recently. I wasn't talking about it before because it was too shocking for people.
I remember when you read my book, you basically said the same thing. You were just like, oh, right, somebody else, who you have to find ways to say what you've lived through that don't throw people away.
Or scare them.
You're scared by them.
Make them burst into bloody tears.
My coping mechanism when I share, because I share things. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's bad, that's sad. But I try to make it funny. Because I'm like, I don't know how, I don't want people to be like, oh, sorry. Or
I was looking, And and these are the beautiful things that make me, when I'm thinking about Octavius, it's bringing up all of this
There's this
stuff.
concept called the Maya, which I'm sure you're familiar with to some extent. It's like the grand illusion, basically.
Right.
And it's like this, for those who are not savvy, the Matrix.
Oh, okay.
For
makes
everybody
complete
else,
sense.
right? The Matrix, and then there's again the Buddha or Neo, the awakened one, the one who woke up, and that. Honestly, occasionally you realize that you've met somebody like Octavius who is absolutely awake to it, who nothing you throw at him is gonna shake him. The concept is that you wake up to it and you see the patterns and you see the way that there's I was alone in my suffering till I started talking to others, and then I realized my suffering was the suffering of all. And then once I knew my suffering was the suffering of all, suddenly I was not suffering. And that is very much the experience of Octavius in a nutshell. I can tell just by looking at him and knowing anything about him, he has suffered. You just know.
Yes, I don't even know the backstory,
but you can feel it, and you can feel that this is somebody who came to that circular conclusion that my suffering is all suffering, and so I suffer no more because I suffer with everyone, and we will reduce suffering together. And that will be our singular purpose.
That's why I feel like his energy was just so amazing, because I feel like some of the people have the best energy who have that sort of just that aura, they just radiate love. I feel like that comes from suffering.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I've suffered, I don't want others to suffer. Or either just, you go through that, like you said,
I think
it's
it's not just the suffering, it's like the return to a childlike state of love, because that is our default. When what you're fighting is your own suffering, you suffer more. But when you return to the state that says that, I do not need to fight my suffering, we suffer because we are human, and I connect with all of us on all levels, both joy and sorrow.
Well, we're almost coming up to the hour. It's been lovely to sit here and talk and think about the times we had with Octavius. We all miss him, we all love him.
Oh, and a very lovely shout out to his family who
Yes.
are dealing with this. Like all the families of all the people who I've mentioned, my love goes to you and the work you have in front of you.
Thank you guys for coming in. We're going to jump into a last music track, something from the, what are we at, early 80s? It's definitely a roller skating jam, so let's go. This is Cheryl Lynn, Gotta Be Real.
Okay.
And we'll catch you next week on the Blackhouse, 106.1 FM. Enjoy.